Today on, I haven't come up with a show name yet, North Korea just did something last night that I genuinely think will go down in history as one of the pettiest things a country has ever done. Just as we hit the 1-year anniversary of the Triton submarine disaster, another billionaire has announced that he will now go down in, and I'm not kidding you, a Triton submarine. Something genuinely terrifying is about to happen in Papua New Guinea, and almost the entire world is telling Israel to stop. But here's what they did instead. All of that and so much more, so let's get cracking. Okay, just to address it, I'm not wearing a bomb on my chest. It's just a regular weighted vest. It weighs 15 kg. If you're wondering why, it's for another video. I have to wear it for 90% of my waking hours, including recording. It's freaking painful. My lower back is
corn casserole.
I'll explain everything else later. Okay, let's kick today's video off with what happened last night in North Korea, because I think we can all agree they've done some crazy shit in the past, but I promise you this, I think, obliterates the top spot. Recently, North Korea has been complaining about activists from South Korea scattering leaflets and other rubbish along the border, and they warned if this does not stop, they would retaliate. And usually, when a country like North Korea says that they're going to retaliate, usually you're thinking something like missiles, military action. I mean, heck, maybe even a diss track. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the propaganda song they put out about Kim Jong Un, but that shit is low-key fire. And I mean, if you haven't heard it, don't even bother hearing it because it'll be stuck in your head forever. Actually, Alex, play a snippet because let's all have it in our heads. Anyway, a few days later, as promised, boy did they retaliate. But probably not in the way that you would imagine. Last night, thousands of South Korean residents started getting text messages on their phone from the military saying, get indoors and stay indoors, because the army spotted unidentified objects in the sky coming from North Korea. I think the last country in the world where you'd want unidentified objects in the sky coming to you from. But luckily, they weren't missiles or nukes, but it didn't take them long until they realized what they were. And they were actually 260 balloons carrying bags full of trash and feces straight from my man Kim Jong Un. And I mean, when I first saw this, I thought, okay, that is it. That is it. Are we living in a simulation? Because this shit is crazy. I mean, I thought it was ridiculous when we had Chinese spy balloons. But now we've got North Korea trash balloons. All before GTA 6. Oh my god, what is going on in this world? Anyway, South Korea's military quickly cautioned the public against touching these white balloons because they contained filthy waste and trash. And I mean, I don't even want to speculate on what kind or whose waste that is. I mean, it's definitely not Kim Jong Un's because, according to legend, he doesn't relieve himself. He doesn't even have the hole to relieve himself out of. And I mean, I know that sounds bizarre, but that's genuinely true. Go look it up. That's what they believe. South Korea have called the act a clear violation of international law. But honestly, how do you as a country even respond to something like that? And I mean, just imagine getting into balloon wars and it escalates to World War III. But I mean, honestly, at this point, I don't know if I would be that surprised because like World War III, I feel like it would start because of something like that. That's just how the world is going right now. So I guess the natural question is, which one do you think is more disrespectful? Chinese spy balloons or North Korea trash balloons? Moving on. Okay, so if you watched last week's video, I spoke a lot about how AI is gonna come in and change the world. And I'm not kidding. The moment I finished recording, I went upstairs and I saw this. Google decided to add a new AI feature into their well-known and classic Google search. And remember I said that in my entire life, I've never actually seen a potential threat to Google search before AI. And I'm not gonna lie, seeing this, it almost felt as if they watched that video. Because with this new feature, they're basically trying to implement the usefulness of just asking ChatGPT a question and then just giving you the answer. The feature is supposed to allow you to ask a question and it give you an AI overview, rather than you having to go through each source and find the exact answer to the question that you're looking for. But I do not think words can describe to you how badly this went. People started getting these AI overview answers to their questions that were so wrong, you're wondering, where did they get it from? What is their source? Does this even exist on the internet? To the point where I think the only way you can understand this is by me just running through a couple. Someone searched, can cockroaches live in your
corn casserole?
Here's the answer. Absolutely. And it's totally normal too. Usually over the course of a year, 5 to 10 cockroaches will crawl into your penis hole while you are asleep. This is how they get the name cockroach, and you won't notice a thing. I told you, like, I don't think a comedian could come up with something like this, but they're taking this seriously. What the f? Even as I read that, I'm in absolute disbelief. Let's try another one. Someone asked the question, what are some fruits ending with UM? So they just go, apple banana strawberry tomato coconut. Coconut? What? They didn't even try with that one. Let's try another one. Google answers, there are many things you can try to deal with your depression. One Reddit user suggests jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge. Whoa. That got dark really quick. What the fuck? Someone else Googled smoking while pregnant. Google AI responds, doctors recommend smoking 2 to 3 cigarettes per day during pregnancy. This is not even a joke. This is real. One of the richest companies in the world released this. Utter disbelief. I mean, the question I just simply cannot wrap my head around is, how did Google release something this faulty? And I think the only potential explanation that I could come up with is that so many companies right now, as you'll know, are in such a race to get out the latest AI technology, the latest AI feature that will just go viral like OpenAI did with their ChatGPT. And so as a consequence of just desperately trying to be first, they make huge mistakes like this. And that is a scary ass thought. Because if Google, the Google, can release something as bad as this, just think about when AI becomes way more powerful than it is now. And it's not just a chatbot. They're always telling you, don't worry, all of the stuff that we're doing is so safe and we're really adhering to all of the guidelines. Well, really? Are you? Because your AI just told pregnant women to smoke 2 to 3 cigarettes a day and for depressed people to jump off of a bridge. So, I don't think so. I mean, all it takes is for one faulty AI to be placed in one of those Elon Musk or Boston Dynamics robots, and it is all over. Just like this story. Moving on. Okay, let's talk about this one, because almost the entire world right now is just telling Israel, stop. But they decided to do something else. Israel is under enormous pressure today to explain their strikes on Rafah, which killed over 45 people on Sunday. The strikes not only hit tents for displaced people, with the health ministry in Gaza saying that most of those killed were women and children, but Netanyahu himself even said that the strikes were a tragic mishap. And the worst part about all of this is that despite there now being global condemnation for Sunday's attacks, even by the US, which is obviously, as we all know, Israel's closest ally, and not to mention the International Criminal Court of Justice telling Israel to stop military actions in Rafah, despite all of this, Netanyahu has vowed to continue the war, and today, even more strikes were being carried out. Wild. Let's move on. Okay, are any of you in debt and are really desperate for money? Well, I might have this solution for you. A trend, a TikTok trend. I don't know if you can call it that. Regardless of what we're calling it, there's this thing happening on TikTok right now. And people are trying to pay off each other's debts by watching each other's videos. Sounds simple, but weird enough? Essentially, people have discovered that because you can make money from your views on TikTok, instead of having to ask someone else for money, you can get TikTok to front the bill by just asking someone else to watch the first 5 seconds of your video. Because if you watch the first 5 seconds, it counts as a view. And honestly, for such an ambitious idea, it's kind of working. I've seen multiple videos now with over 1 million views. And if you're wondering how much 1 million views would earn you, well, I'll be honest, it varies a lot between accounts, but it's not uncommon for newer creators to get about $1,000 per 1 million views, which is pretty wild. But take that with a pinch of salt, because talking from experience here, the higher your views go, the lower the amount that they pay you. TikTok's weird like that. They're not like YouTube. pinch of salt. But either way, for those that are in debt and are TikTok trend desperate, well, they've been making videos stating how much money they need and how many views they would need to make that money. And for some of them, honestly, they would have been making hundreds to a few thousand off of what they've been doing. I mean, I'll be honest, you're not about to pay off some major debt, but it's a really good start. So I think generally it should be looked at as a massive W because no one's really had to spend any money, just that little bit of time, and someone's able to make thousands of dollars. Oh, and something else that should definitely be looked at as a bloody massive W is when I asked you guys to like and comment to see if it would help the video. And it bloody worked. So because of that, I will be making it a thing. Do not make me get my whip out. Because look, I want your like to be consensual. I do. But if you refuse to like the video, consent is not my biggest worry. Okay, what the fuck? I apologize. What? I don't know where I was going with that. Just like the video, please. If those are the kind of things that Alex tries to keep in, just think about the things that actually never make it to the final cut. Ah, my shoulders. My shoulders. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Let me just take a break for a sec. Ah, head, shoulders, knees and toes, eyes and ears and mouth and... Do not put that in, Alex. Oh my God. Something genuinely terrifying is about to happen in Papua New Guinea, and for some reason, I'm seeing no one talk about it. Last week, an absolutely devastating landslide completely smothered a densely populated village. And it's hard to believe, but as many as 2,000 people are feared to still be buried. And this was a town with churches, schools, shops, homes. And for those who were lucky enough to have actually made it out, everything they own is now buried, including the town's only clean water source. But then, just to make matters even worse, authorities are now deeply concerned about the potential for a second landslide and even a deadly disease outbreak due to the decaying bodies and contaminated water streams trapped under the rubble. And I mean, just to give you a sense of the situation, out of the suspected 2,000 bodies, only 5 as of right now have been recovered. Because of this, they fear that about 8,000 people are now in need of evacuation before things get worse. And I mean, just think about if something like this happened in, let's say, the UK or the US, this would be like the biggest news of the decade. So it's so wild that I'm seeing so little about this. But of course, with that being said, I'll keep you guys updated on this, and let's move on to the final story of the day. If you thought that the whole North Korea trash balloons was too insane to be real, well, I think this one is on par with that. In exactly 19 days, it will be 1 year to the day that the Triton submarine went missing. So, strangely, as almost if to celebrate the anniversary, another billionaire named Larry Connor, a real estate investor and the CEO of Triton submersibles, very different to Titan submersibles, has announced that he will be going down to the Titanic wreckage to prove that it is, in fact, safe. I think it's a lot of things. I don't know if you can describe it as safe. Like, you can describe walking downstairs as, like, safe. Can you describe going down in a submarine to the Titanic as safe? I don't know. You have to look at the statistics for that one. I guess it's relative, isn't it? Anyway, what the f am I talking about? Larry said that the Ocean Gate implosion had a chilling effect on the interest in Triton's vehicles. Ha-ha! Okay, sorry, that was a bit of a weird sound that came out my mouth. Ha-ha! Ha-ha! But that's why, I guess, because it's bad for business, that news. So he's trying to spin that, I guess. Sorry, man, this West is getting to me. He also said that bad news brought up old myths that only a crazy person would go underwater in one of those vehicles. And although it's not exactly clear when they're scheduling this trip down to the Titanic, he and one other person will make the journey in a $20 million Triton 4000/2 Abyssal Explorer. Cool name. Not easy off the tongue. At least this one is not being controlled by a Logitech gaming controller. So I guess that increases their chances of survival. Good. Okay, and actually one more thing before I wrap this video up, because this is funny. I messaged Alex earlier this week and I told him that I really want to hit 100K per video on YouTube before the end of this year. And that should be the NEWSDADDY Empire YouTube channel goal. I said to him, chuck it on your computer or just somewhere where you can see it so we can really push for it, you know? But Alex then doesn't reply for the entire day. And then right before I was about to sleep, he sends me this. What you are seeing is some holy scripture. And like, also make sure, Alex, you play the music that you sent me this with. And he has handmade this, and it reads, "Gods of YouTube, please bringeth 100K plus views on every NEWSDADDY video." Oh man, I mean, honestly, well done. I have never met someone that is so dedicated for the Empire. So I just want to say W Alex in the chat. But I guess now it's public. Everyone else knows the goal too. 100K on every video before the end of the year. I love you all. Like the video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on Monday. This is going to be the highest effort fist pump I've ever done. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes.